The single biggest question Matt Brown is asked, will Team Builder be included? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the MF Film Room. It's Jake Posey back at it again. Thank you so much for being here. This is the first video of this brand new channel. I got my own channel right now, Master Football with Jake Posey. Go over there and check it out. I talk about all things college football. And again, there's a little bit of a rebrand right here for my channel. But again, this channel right here, specifically the MF Film Room, is only going to be discussing EA college football and everything like that going forward. I'm telling you, if you like that game, if you cannot wait for it to come out, sign up right now. Get into this family. But without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, so we are our very first video here. And again, I've done videos about this before, but again, this is the first of what will be many videos about EA college football, talking about features, this and that, drama here, there, everything like that. We're to get into that. The most important man, though, is not me in the world of EA college football. It is a man by the name of Matt Brown right now. He is a columnist for Extra Points. He has a subscription service with that company, and going through that, he always provides information regarding EA college football. He is one of the only people to do it out there exclusively through freedom of information requests out there. So let's get into that. His most recent article about what he's talking about, because there's some good news for all you guys who are into EA college football in the upcoming game. And here we are on November 15th at 1:42 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for me. I'm in the Mountain Time Zone. And he says here, new Extra Points. I've made some calls, and here's what I've learned about EA Sports College Football, from customization to buying the game overseas to communication timelines and more. And again, when you actually get into it, here is the link. I'm going to make sure I include it here so you have access to all of this stuff. And again, subscribe to him. He does a good job out there. But I would go in here, get into this, because we're going to go through some of the things he said to talk about where this leads for EA college football going forward, because we've got some important things that were revealed, an important timeline set. Let's get into that right now. All right, so what we're going to go through here is what we've known for some time first. So just to make sure we set the stage here, EA College Football is set for release in summer of 2024. That has been reported multiple times out there. The game usually releases on the second Tuesday of July. NCAA 2014 released on July 9th, 2013. That was a Tuesday. So again, that's how long the last game was. Dude, we're coming up on 11 years since the game was released. That's when it's going to come out. So more than likely, we're looking at that for this upcoming July. It also says, and again, we've known this for some time, all FBS teams are acting like they're going to be in the game. So for those of you who are asking, is this team going to be in the game? Is that team going to be in the game? Whatever it is, more than likely, they are already acting like it is. So as it says right here, some have not signed documents confirming this, but they're still sending assets EA's way. As an example, Kennesaw State, currently not in the FBS, is still sending assets EA's way. What that means is that they still have some contracts they have to go sign. They still have, certain things they have to iron out here and there. But they are still operating like that is going to happen. Because again, that could happen on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday they could be in the game. So what they're doing right here is making sure all the stuff before they get in the game is handled. And that way, when that contract is signed, boom, they're in the game ready to go. All right, now what we know now, there's some very, very important quotes. I pulled some of these here, some very important quotes from Matt Brown's article. And he said right here, the first one, it says, EA's relative silence is not because the game is not progressing as planned, but is following the typical sports video game timetable. I know some of you might be worried about that. As an example, that Madden typically doesn't get advertisements for it up until maybe like a month before it comes out. I think this time is going to be a little bit different, as the game hasn't come out for 11 years. They're probably going to have some sort of teasers throughout the year. That is just my anticipation. He also says EA plans to, quote, directly, and heavy emphasis on the directly, share more specific information with fans and reporters as we head into next year, particularly in the spring of 2024. So, spring of 2024, that's when we're probably going to be getting, who knows, with like a February, March, April, May, something like that is going to have some sort of sequential breakdowns of like trailer here, this feature here, that feature here, boom, 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 boom. All that will be coming out more than likely in the spring. Quote here, it says, can we make customized conferences? Or how will recruiting looking? Or can I run an online dynasty with 26 of my closest friends? Are questions that I'm told nobody can really answer with any authority, because they're still making the game. That was an emphasis he put right here within that thing, is that nobody can really answer that. They're still ironing out certain details. I think the big thing, those of you who remember, the game was delayed. And the big reason why it was delayed was because they wanted to make sure that the want to make sure that the engine operated the way that it needed to. So the most important thing right now is the on-field play, on-field play, on-field play. In terms of like, can I edit this? Can I edit that? I think that from the developmental perspective, that probably isn't too hard to put into the game, which is why they're kind of putting it off. It's not that it's not important, but I do think that right now they're still trying to make sure, hey, does this game work properly? Do we want it to be like Madden, where everything is, animations based, where once you get two people locked into an animation, the things are locked? Or is it going to be a more, natural feel? Is it going to be a more physics-based game where the game operates independently? Sometimes the problem with that, what I mean by that is that a physics-based game, as opposed to predetermined outcomes, you have to kind of, it takes everything in real time and produces an animation that way. It's very hard to do that and make it smooth. It's really easy to do that, but to do that and make it smooth is the hard part. That's why I think that, again, they're holding off on some of these certain things here that people are specifically asking about. And continue here. There's a couple other things here that he wants to make sure he highlights. He says the single biggest question Matt Brown is asked, will Team Builder be included? It's the most important question. Everybody is asking it, and he goes through to kind of address it. It says right here, quote, an EA employee did confirm to me that, quote from them, customization will be an aspect of EA Sports College Football when it launches in summer 2024. We'll have more details to share in the near future. And again, I don't know if the near future is going to be, is that going to be spring of 2024? Is that March, or is near future, let's say December 30th? Let's say something like around New Year's. I don't know what it is. But he says here that other sources have told me that the current plan for the game is to include some components for user-generated content. And that quote right there is so juicy to dive into, whatever that is. There's so many questions you can generate from that, and I've generated some of them right here. All right, so customization and user-generated content. So there's a couple things here, and this is all speculation. So if you guys come to me like, oh, hey, he said it for sure, I'm speculating. Customization and speculation, here's what we have. So the first thing is playbooks. I know that this has happened before. Playbooks have been customizable before on NCAA 2014. However, and again, I don't know if I was the only one, but whenever you played an online Dynasty game, which is all, I just love to play online Dynasty, an online Dynasty game, and you had a custom playbook and they had a custom playbook, the game would freeze at some point. It just can't handle that sort of, mechanics or something like that. Whatever it was, the game would freeze. Hopefully you'll be able to do that not only in Play Now, not only in an offline Dynasty, but also in an online Dynasty. That's what we're hoping for. Also, question here, can you customize plays? I personally think that they're still trying to figure out the mechanics of the whole game, the physics of the whole game. There's no way they're going to allow people to make their own plays. They'll have certain people that just have automatic touchdown plays, whatever it is. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm thinking it's a good question to ask. Next one here is conferences. So the previous game, you had the custom conferences ability. At the end of every season, when you were in, Dynasty mode, the very last step was you could reset your coaching points and you could customize your conferences. So the interesting questions that come off of that, you could already do this before. You can move Texas back to the Big 12. You can move Nebraska back to the Big 12. You can move, everybody back to the Big 12. My Big 12 fans won't appreciate that. I love you guys. You guys know I love you guys. But there are very important questions to ask. As an example, nowadays with conference realignment, there are certain questions and certain things that are being removed that were previously added. One of them was the concept of divisions. There used to be division football, and unfortunately, it helps out with geographical regions, and sometimes it helps out with some, certain rivalries. But there's certain times where you're going to develop a discrepancy in the strength of the size of the conference. Does anybody have any ability to tell me that there's not a discrepancy between the Big Ten West and the Big Ten East right now? How about 5 years ago when the SEC West versus the SEC East, it was the best in the West versus the least in the East. It was one of those things. North and South in the Pac-12, everybody is getting rid of those situations. So hopefully, can you do that in the game? We don't know. Divisions, division lists. What about pods? Pods or guaranteed opponents is where you have certain teams that always play each other every single year, and then you alternate between the other games every other season, whatever that is. That would be an interesting thing to have. I do know that would be very, very custom. So as an example, it'd be a lot of stuff you have to put in the game. If you want to go to a pod situation, let's say it's 16 teams, pods of 4, which means you'd play 3 games. The remaining 12, you'd cut that up. So again, how many games do you want to have in conference play? Do you want to have 8? Do you want to have 9? There was a big battle between the SEC right now, and there's actually a lot of people who are calling the fact that the SEC is not that tough this season as compared to like the Pac-12. and they're like, okay, why are you guys only playing 8 games and then you play an FCS opponent week 12, week 13? What the heck's going on there? So there's certain things like that you can update. Whether or not you can, I don't know, but I'm betting that something like that will be in the game. Also, and I'm betting this too, players will be customizable. Again, the thing about this, though, is with the NIL, with name, image, and likeness, once you sign a waiver to get in the game, right now they said they're not going to be able to individually negotiate those waivers, because how can you negotiate 11,000 contracts for players? What you're probably going to do is just have a group licensing deal. Hey, if you're a college player, here you go. He also said, and very important, he said he does not suspect everybody will be in the game because he thinks that certain players will forget to sign the waiver, whatever that is. So again, he thinks that will happen. But as an example, in Madden right now, even with the NFL Players Association has signed an agreement with the game, you can go in. Geno Smith's first name is Eugene. You can go in there and change that. Same thing will probably happen with the game here. Again, like I said, what about recruits? We'll be able to add recruits. We'll be able to upload real recruits' names. I do know that, uploading a recruiting class is something that could be very, very interesting. We don't know that. Also, another thing here for customization is the playoffs, because as an example, right now we have a playoff of 4. Are we going to go to 12? What about in a couple of years when it's 16? Are we going to go to 32, 64, whatever it is? Do we want to do all of that? That's going to be something in the game. Do you want to have X amount of buys for, certain teams? Do you want to have it be that the highest ranked teams or automatic qualifiers? Whatever it is, man, that's something that could be in the game for the future. The 2 last ones here, I think, are my most favorite and I'm most looking forward to. So for rivalries, the problem right now is with rivalries is that, let's just say you were to customize a team or team builder team. You add them in. And then you try to flip them with, basically, unfortunately, there was only 126 slots in EA or NCAA Football 2014. If you took a team out, that team that went in took the rivalries of the team you substituted out. So as an example, I created my university in the South, and I would always substitute out Georgia State. They were the worst team in the game. So your rival, no matter what, was Georgia Tech. Unfortunately, Georgia State and Georgia Tech aren't really rivals right now. So does that make sense to do that? Does it make sense for you to set your own rivalry? Should you have a dynamic rivalry system where as you play certain teams, if there's close games, say there's, certain times people beat you at home, people beat you at home, you knock people out of playoff contention, whatever it is, certain things like that can create, rivalries. Also, maybe there's more penalties in the game. I know the game's not going to let you simulate, team brawls or something like that. But that would be really interesting if they had some sort of dynamic rivalry system to go off of. And then also trophies for a rivalry. If you could customize that, that would be so cool. I mean, unfortunately, there'd be a lot of inappropriate ones. But, come on, you can't defend against everything. The last but most important thing here is the teams. I suspect they are going to approve Team Builder. Team Builder, now again, it might not be the same thing, but Team Builder before was really cool. What you had an online web portal. You can go into the game. You can fully create your team, and all you had to do is boom. You would download them. It would copy the code over. Everything would be done. It worked really well. Sometimes it didn't copy over the roster or the school points, as an example, the school prestige, this or that. It had a hard time copying that over, but for the most part, it worked pretty well. But there were certain things that it had limitations on. So can you do that? I bet you can. I mean, before, what you could do with Team Builder is you could upload a team and you could say the Oklahoma Sooners. So they were kind of worried about, oh yeah, well, people are just going to upload, those FCS opponents or those FCS teams that we want them to be in the game. They're going to upload Montana State on their own. The problem with that, though, is that you'd have to sub a team out and you can kind of customize things here and there. I bet you're still going to be allowed to do that. I bet you'll still figure it out. But one thing I bet they'll also do is have a stadium updater, because unfortunately, in the last Team Builder, you were not able to customize your stadium. You were able to pick a stadium, pick a field, pick, it's set in both of your end zones. That's basically it. For the future, the cool thing is if you're able to say, okay, I want to have a half stadium. I want to have a horseshoe. I want to have a dome. I want to have a dome with green turf. I want to have a dome with orange turf. I want to have a dome with red turf. Whatever it is, you can customize all of that. I bet that's going to be a game. That's just me, though, but those are my bets at this point. I am so excited for EA College Football to come out. And man, it's awesome. We already know the fact that all the teams are already assuming they're in the game. Everybody's working on it. Things are going smooth. Customization is going to be a big part of the game. Will they have Team Builder? Will they not? I bet they will. What do you guys think? Get the comments right now and let me know. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, check out my Twitter account. My Twitter account's going to be linked in here. I'm also going to slowly be posting to my Instagram account. The problem is Instagram doesn't really like it when you post there and tell them to leave their site. So we'll figure that all out. But again, I thank you guys so much. Brand new channel. We're going to get this thing rolling. If you have any questions, let me know. Get in the comments. And again, if you want to have a recommendation for a video, the comments is your best spot, or Twitter as well. But that's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys later. I am out.